Hello, I'm here to talk about if Elizabeth was a good queen or a bad queen. She was born at Greenwich Palace, the daughter of the Tudor King Henry VIII. Before Elizabeth reached her third birthday, her father had her mother beheaded. Upon assuming the throne, Queen Elizabeth was raised much like any other child. She received tutoring and excelled at languages and music. After her father's death in 1547, Elizabeth spent some time under the care of her stepmother, Catherine Parr. Parr hired tutors on Elizabeth's behalf, including William Grindal and Roger Ascham. Upon assuming the throne, Queen Elizabeth I restored England to Protestantism. This broke with the policy of her predecessor and half-sister, Queen Mary I, a Catholic monarch who ruthlessly tried to eliminate Protestantism from England's society. England was bitterly divided between Catholics and Protestants as a result of various religious changes initiated by Henry VIII, Edward VI, and Mary I. By 1603, the year of her death, the English were generally Protestant and Catholics were in the minority. Some Catholics were executed for not following her ways. I think she did a good job. Elizabeth is the only English queen never to marry. MPS and the Privy Councillors expected her to marry in order to secure the succession, and many foreign princes and English noblemen wanted to marry her. She kept her thoughts on the subject private, but we can speculate as to why she never married. Some historians think she chose not to marry in order to protect England's security. She wanted to remain independent of any foreign influence, which marrying a foreign prince would have brought. She kept everyone guessing on the subject of who she might marry, but never did. This had advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are staying single meant that Elizabeth could keep sole control of English affairs, namely government and religion. Elizabeth had a range of suitors from different countries. Her refusal to choose between them allowed her to keep her options open in foreign affairs, whilst at the same time this enabled her to play countries off against each other, making her a strong negotiator. She remained the focus of all power since there was no apparent successor. Disadvantages is ongoing uncertainty over who would inherit the throne, had the potential to lead to plots and attacks to overthrow Elizabeth. For example, plots from foreign Catholic powers such as Mary, Queen of Scots. The Privy Councillors and MPs were frustrated because the succession wasn't settled, and they felt this made the country vulnerable. Mary, Queen of Scots, was a threat to Elizabeth's rule because she had two claims to the English throne. Many people believe Elizabeth to be illegitimate and so felt she had no right to be on the throne. Her father, Henry VIII, had divorced his first wife. Catholics didn't recognize divorce and so viewed his second marriage to Elizabeth's mother as legal. Elizabeth had converted England's official religion to Protestantism and leaving many Catholics disgruntled. Mary was Catholic and many viewed her as their figurehead and rightful replacement to the throne. Getting Mary out of the country, sending Mary back to Scotland or France could backfire, allowing her to gather more support to challenge Elizabeth, keeping Mary imprisoned. This would reduce the risk of Mary gathering more support back in Scotland or France and allow Elizabeth to keep tight control. But unlawfully imprisoning Mary could provoke international outcry and attacks anyways. Executing Mary, whilst this would remove the figurehead for Catholic challengers, it could also provoke international attacks and set precedent for killing a queen. The defeat of Spanish Armada in 1588 has long been held as one of England's greatest military achievements. This document records the famous speech delivered by Queen Elizabeth to her troops who assembled at Tilbury Camp to defend the country as against a Spanish invasion. The defeat of Spanish Armada in 1588, the Catholic Spain, with the support of the Pope, planned to overthrow Elizabeth and to stop the spread of Protestantism in England. The England Navy defeated the Spanish Armada and more than a third of the Spanish ships and failed to return home. In conclusion, I think that Elizabeth was a good queen, but there are some negative points, like not getting married, because you need a heir to become the next king or queen. I think she's done a good job with everything else. Thank you.